Good afternoon, everybody. It's such a delight to be here with you today to join in your conversation about the pedagogy of kindness. Today, we're going to talk about learning mindsets, which is part of a larger CUNY initiative. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about the basics of learning mindset while also encouraging us to share our own experiences and ideas. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you to think of a time when you learned something hard. How did your mindset help you to succeed, even though there were obstacles? So I'm going to give you just a moment to think about that and to jot down your response. How might you share this story with your own students? And a little bit later, we can also talk about why you might want to do that. So as we get started, does anybody have an example that they would like to share of a time when you learned something hard and the mindset that helped you to succeed, even though there were obstacles? And as a bonus, if you'd like to also tell us how you might share this story with your students, or if that's something you already do, how you share that with your students. Great. Thank you so much for sharing those examples, both in chat and on camera. So, our agenda today, we're going to talk a little bit about the mindset basics. And as we get into that vocabulary, I think you're going to see how that connects to the initial brainstorming that we did. We're going to talk about learning mindsets at CUNY. We're going to talk about mindset GPS. Then we're going to do a little bit of brainstorming. We're going to share our brainstorming, and then we're going to have a large group discussion connecting the pedagogy of kindness and mindset GPS. So that's what's ahead of us today. So let's talk first a little bit about mindset basics. So mindset basics are students' beliefs about themselves as learners and their learning environment. So an example of a belief about themselves as learners might be, I believe I can learn through hard work and applying the right strategies. An example belief about their learning environment is, my instructor believes I can learn through hard work and applying the right strategies. Learning mindsets matter because they're meaningful, measurable, and malleable. We can often predict important student outcomes like retention and grades. We can measure learning mindsets with surveys, and we can influence them with the right environment or experiences. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So Learning Mindsets at CUNY is a really exciting program that has been at play for a while. So in 2019, there was the Growth Mindset and Beyond in-person convening. In 2020, there were 2 virtual workshops. In 2021, a 15-hour course, Motivating Learners course, Starting Strong. In 2021, there were also 2 3-hour mini courses, then another 15-hour course in 2022. And now the Mindset Fellows program, which will be helping individuals who participated in the different iterations of the course to bring this work back to their campuses. And the overall goal is to create and foster a mindset supportive culture across CUNY. So what does that mean? Let's dig into this and think about how this might be helpful in our own classes. So we're going to talk about Mindset GPS. So Mindset GPS, the G stands for growth mindset, a student's belief that intelligence and skills are not inherent, but instead can be developed. So growth mindset is partially about self-belief that you can develop your skills and abilities. but it's also about adopting specific behaviors consistent with these beliefs, particularly following difficulty and failure. These behaviors include things like trying a variety of strategies or asking for help when needed. With a growth mindset, instructors are supporting the belief that intelligence and skills can be developed by messaging in the syllabus, in assignments, in class, that effort leads to growth, that persisting through difficulty leads to growth, that learning from mistakes leads to growth, that challenging yourself leads to growth, and that seeking or using appropriate strategies and support leads to growth. So you can see right there how that connects to our initial brainstorming, because of course, this is a characteristic that we already share in common with our students. And so helping our students see that and understand that, particularly in the context of our individual courses, can really help students as they are struggling with maybe some difficulties or finding that things are challenging, knowing that that is part of the growth experience. So in my own class, I teach English 101 and have used a number of these strategies in my own classes. So I introduced the philosophy of revision and rewriting in my syllabus. And in my syllabus, I emphasize growth and change as a goal. So this is part of the messaging that I do in my official course materials. But then within the course, actually in the first week of the course, I developed a new growth mindset module, and later in the course, revision modules. And I also offer one-on-one help with revision, and we do revision small groups so that growth and change are part of the structure of my course. So there I'm really focusing on that environment and creating an environment for growth so that the messaging and the environment work together. P is really a P and an R, purpose and relevance. And this is a student's belief that coursework is valuable because it is connected to a larger purpose and or is relevant to one's life. Here, we're cultivating a variety of pathways for students to identify value for themselves in the material that they're learning. From a motivational standpoint, it's better for students to identify that value for themselves rather than being told by someone else, like an instructor or a peer, why they should value the material. So, instructors support this belief that schoolwork is valuable when they message what you are learning can connect to a bigger purpose, what you are learning can connect to your current and your future life. It's important to make specific connections, and it's important to actively make these connections. So in my own class, I really focus on this in the environment. The first week of class, I have students write goal statements for the course, thinking about what it is that they would like to learn and what their own specific goals are, particularly for their writing in the course. And then after each project in the course, we have 3 major projects. Students reflect on their projects in relation to their goals. This also helps them set goals for revision. So again, I'm really trying to set up an environment where I'm prioritizing these things so that students have the opportunity to explore and find purpose and relevance for themselves, rather than my saying to them, here's why English is important, here's why you need to study this, here's why you need to take it seriously. Instead, helping them to embed that purpose and relevance for themselves in the course. And then the S in GPS is sense of belonging. And this is a student's belief that they are socially and academically connected, supported, and respected. Particularly during transitions, it's important to help students frame uncertainty about belonging as being an experience that is common to most students and that many of these feelings can be temporary. Instructors support the belief that students are connected, supported, and respected by messaging that all students' backgrounds and perspectives are welcomed and valued, that students will be known and supported by you, and that it's important to have meaningful peer interactions, both academically and socially. So in my own classes, I work on this again in the environment. Small groups extend learning. I have writing groups, research groups, and project groups where students are working together towards specific goals on specific projects. And that use of small group work products in the larger class to guide our work and to connect students to one another and their learning. So I'm really trying to not just put them into small groups, but then use the work that comes out of those small groups and feed it back into the class as part of the larger work that we're doing. In the CUNY's Motivating Learners courses, we learned to think about the first 2 weeks as starting strong, and we created a motivational planning document. So, for example, on the first day of English 101, before the semester starts, I share a short welcome video that hits on all 3 GPS elements. And in my class, I particularly focused on growth. Although I hit all 3 elements in my video, I was really focused on growth. The first day of class, we do introductions. We talk about the syllabus. We talk about setting up our work. Because part of my class happens online, we also talk about online class etiquette, and we do icebreakers. So there's an initial course survey, and in that survey, I'm really trying to message G, P, and S. There's an activity where students give me a writing history, their experiences of previous writing classes, and then they also identify those goals for themselves for the course. And I think with this activity, I'm hitting on G, P, and S. I have a mindset module, which is helping them to think a little bit about how they can bring a learning mindset into the course. This is G and a P. And then I respond to each student's histories and goals using their names and responding to the specific goal, which I think hits on P and S. So really, through that combination of both messaging in all of my course materials and assignments, and also environment, making sure that there's a way to really try out growth, to really see purpose and relevance, and to have a sense of belonging in the class, that I'm working with both messaging and environment. So when we think about helping students develop mindset GPS, there are 2 pathways. There is sending learning mindset supportive messages, and then creating learning mindset supportive environments for them to learn in. Okay, any questions on learning mindset GPS? Any questions about those different elements? The different definitions, or the ways that I have incorporated them in my own English 101 class? Thanks so much for all those questions, and I hope the clarifications were clear. So now that we're all feeling confident about learning mindset GPS, I'm going to ask you to spend about 5 minutes brainstorming. And what I'd like you to do is brainstorm 3 ways you can include GPS in your future class planning, and 1 way you can use either G, P, or S before the end of the semester. So let's take about 5 minutes to do that, and then we'll come back together to find out what we've brainstormed. Great. Now that you're done with your brainstorming, I'm going to offer you a choice. So I know that some people really find all of the Zoom boxes a little overwhelming, and working in a smaller breakout group is preferable. And other folks would rather just stay in the large group. So you choose. No matter what you choose, if you want to be in the small group or the large group, we're going to be working on the same questions. We're going to be sharing some of what we did in our brainstorming. So if you'd like to go to a small group, if you want to go ahead and put your hand up now, I will open up breakout rooms, and you can go ahead into a breakout room with 3 to 4 other people. And if you'd like to stay in the large group, we will stay together. No matter whether you're in a small group or a large group, what I'd like you to do is to introduce yourself and then take turns sharing your brainstorming. With the large group, I'll facilitate that by asking folks to raise a hand just based on the numbers. And then I'd also like you to answer, how is this a change in what you usually do? So you're going to share your brainstorming and what you're thinking about doing in a future class or in a class this semester. And then, how is this different than what you usually do? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and break out into groups, and we will spend 20 minutes in groups sharing our brainstorming and talking about how this is a change from what we usually do. And then we're going to come back together to connect learning mindsets and pedagogy of kindness. Okay, everybody, welcome back. So now that we're back together as a large group, I want to transition us to thinking about how we might think of teaching using learning mindsets and GPS as a pedagogy of kindness. How might structural changes in your course better support students? And how might messaging in your course better support students? So go ahead and jump in. If you would like to answer one of these questions, just go ahead and raise your hand and I will start a speakers list and we'll just go in the order that people would like to share. Thank you so much for that conversation and that rich discussion. As we come to a close, I want to make sure that you know that the materials in this presentation come from Motivate Labs, CUNY's Motivating Learners courses, and my own teaching materials revised and rethought after taking the course. If you are interested in doing some more reading, these are some suggested follow-up readings that touch on learning mindsets, touch on growth mindsets. So feel free to check those out. And of course, if you have any questions or you want to chat about this more, please feel free to reach out to me. This is my LaGuardia email, or you can find me on Twitter at @JElizabethClark. And if you'd like to learn more about the CUNY's Motivating Learners course, you can follow this link. Thanks so much for your time and energy today, everybody. Have a great day.